Long horse.
Chat. Bucky's gonna die again today. R.I.P. Chat, do you believe love can bloom even on the battlefield? Yes, but not when Beck is around.
We have to have one dead lawman each session. It's the rule.
Even if it's the same ones.
Can we figure out Beck raise?
Just give me dodge, I guess.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
It was either that or I take the power intangible form, which allows me to just turn into shadows and mist whenever I want. Which could be really cool, but
if you take that, they will call you Fart Boy.
Are you Alucard?
Yeah, exactly.
Mist could pass.
If you turn into mist, can we just vape you?
Do you guys really want to vape, Beck?
No.
First things first.
Depends on what the effects
smoke
are.
causes cancer. The second thing, I don't think he's taken a bath in 20 years.
I don't know if that transfers.
Man, I got a cute little beer drinking cup from Daiso, and I'm so happy about it.
Ooh.
Love getting shit I don't need and using it.
Vaping Beck sounds pretty metal. Very Evil Dead. I will swallow your soul.
I think there's a Throat Note song about that.
Is it a Jane's Addiction cover band? Like
vaping Beck. What do you think happens when you vape Beck? What's the consequences?
You get whatever the opposite of high is. Low.
Does he just explode out of you? Then
It's like taking an Adderall then?
Does he reform as a solid Beck inside your belly? Do you fuse
natural
into a TF
appropriation.
hybrid Beck character?
Do you inhale the smoke all the way?
It's cultural appropriation to smoke the native Beck pipe.
Oh no.
Ooh.
You're not allowed.
I think they did that in Fantasy
okay.
High. The guy re-solidified and exploded the dude.
That's pretty sick.
I was thinking since
Man.
our last session, like everyone must be really hard. All of our characters canonically must be very hardy in terms of like living in the Wild West because no one reacted to eating mushrooms, and that stuck with me since then. I was like, the fact that like no one was like gagging on them or like trying to not barf is really impressive.
Yes,
Lynn's already done it.
everyone is really hardy, and everyone ate mushrooms.
Well, there we go. Yeah, maybe that'll be the tell if Argo tries to eat one. Maybe he's gonna have to spit it back out.
Yeah, you guys are certainly gonna wonder if you're feeling those effects when you're getting surrounded by chupacabras.
Yeah.
I see them too.
Real sincerely, for those in chat, I say in chat in the channel that haven't done psychedelic mushrooms. They're pretty hard to eat on their own. They're
fucking
pretty gross.
disgusting. Disgusting.
Really awful. So just full disclosure on that one. That's pretty rough.
They'll make it
to
into
do.
a nice soup.
Are they too big to just like bottoms up like a pill?
Your taste buds will inform you that it's something you should not be eating.
Yes. They're also usually dry, like really dry.
Yeah.
So they stick to your tongue. It's sincerely like chewing a dead leaf is like a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. But just imagine the leaf is like worse,
Yeah.
tasting than you can imagine. Like, not pleasant.
People do this on purpose.
You do. The best trick I ever learned was eat them with peanut M&Ms because the really nutty taste of the M&M will cover up the dirt taste of the mushroom.
Yeah, I had some in that was confused with a chocolate bar once.
Yeah, I've had that too.
Yeah.
That can be a real problem though, because then you eat too much and have an ego death trip while watching Star Wars.
Yeah. I'll tell you more off stream.
I bet that
my
hasn't
experiences.
happened.
Yeah.
No one appreciates the Gary Paulson hatchet reference.
I
Guys,
appreciated it. I understood it.
I didn't understand those words.
I'm more of a
Gary
what was the
Paulson,
other book you
author of
did? My
Hatchet.
Side of the Mountain.
Oh, the book Hatchet. This campaign's fucked up.
Yeah.
Ka asked me to describe the horrors 5 days ago.
Probably for no reason, right?
No reason.
So, Jeremy just came into existence.
Look what you did to him.
I mean, I didn't
This
do
is your
that
fault.
part.
No, it was your fault.
It's just,
I think Ka said the remains of Jeremy, right? So is he dead?
he's looking
What
at us.
remains of him? He's
He's
looking at you.
remaining.
There's just less
He's
of him.
remaining-ish.
He's dead like.
Most characters we meet are what remains of them. Yeah, Ka said describe all of the horrors, and I identified all of their species and explained and riffed on their names in different ways, and I decided that Jeremy Hogswallow is a horse that's both gifted and flexible.
A horse whore. A horse.
Of course.
I'm sort of mortally afraid of horses. Actually. and the reason why
Is because of last week?
Yeah, I hate horses too. I'm curious to hear.
Not
this.
And
just
that's why there's
not
no
just because
horses
of
in the
last
smoke
week,
room.
but, not just because there's Jeb. Jeb is there. I found out that there's no such thing really as vegetarian. Like, you know how we think of as plant eaters and meat
Yeah,
eaters?
there's like that clip
That's
That's not a thing. That's
They're
not a thing.
opportunist.
They're
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
opportunists, and I saw not only did I read reports about certain horses and deers eating human remains that they had found dead from exposure.
Good for them.
But there's just a vine that I saw where there's just a horse that like there's a mother hen and her chick, and they're just walking around. The horse just leans in and it eats the chick whole,
Mhm.
and the mother hen just has like 3 seconds of horrific awareness. Like, it screeches as its child is murdered, and then after those seconds pass, it goes back being a thoughtless animal, and that
Yep.
gave me so much existential dread.
Yep, terrifying. Terrifying shit.
What a fun
Horses
app
are
that
wrong.
TikTok is.
I'm afraid of horses.
Horses are truly terrifying.
I'm afraid of horses too. So when I was a kid, I don't know, I was probably like 9 years old or something. I was on like a family trip in Colombia visiting some family, and we went to a farm, and they're like, "Oh, you could like ride the horses here on the farm. It'll be a fun thing to do." So it's like, okay, whatever. So like someone puts me up on a horse, and it says like I'm a little nervous because it's like a little awkward and weird. And then like they're trying to like lead me out the gate to like go on a walk down the road, I guess. And then another horse comes barreling back like full speed ahead, like, and almost like hits me on this other horse. And I'm just like shit, like what the hell? And we find out that the girl who went ahead of us, she comes back. Her pants are like, it's amazing she didn't get horribly injured. She got like thrown off the horse and like slid down a hill or some shit. Like her pants were completely like ripped off and everything. And then like, I was like, we were just kind of like, what happened? It's like, oh, it saw something and got scared. And they explained to me, it's like, oh yeah, if a horse saw like a snake, it might have panicked. And I was like, wow, I hate horses. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, that's something that
Yeah.
can happen if you're just riding one. I was just like, I'm never getting on a horse again. Fuck that.
Well, there's also like a horse can be just this noble, loving beast that takes care of you and ride it and feed it, and it just loves you to death. But like all of a sudden, you can just be behind it, and like it just has just like a weird nerve, and it kicks you, and it caves your chest in, and you're fucking dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There
Yeah.
are these horrifying batteries of power that have very little thought between those sunken eyes.
It's like if a car could get scared.
Yeah. Our,
Exactly.
I just think about how like I love dogs and a lot of other people like cats, and it's like we've all seen their stupid little brains short out and do insane things. And you're like, what if that thing was a truck?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a horse.
Our
That's funny,
campaign
although-
artist Aeria, his fiance, is also terrified of horses, so this has been a good outlet for him to draw
Handshake
as
horse
many
trauma.
terrifying horses as he can.
But you know,
This is so
I mean,
funny.
I've met sweet horses and I've petted horses before, and I give them carrots, and like
Yeah.
they have a little personality. Like I don't hate horses.
No. I don't hate horses. They're just
I
the
don't
idea
want to
of-
be in a.
yeah.
I don't want to be in a vicinity of horses.
I do not want to
Yeah,
participate in horses.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to ride horses.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Yeah, yep.
I'll feed one. I'll pet one behind a gate. I'll be like, you're a beautiful creature.
Yeah.
But I am
You're beautiful
like,
over there. Just stay over there, please.
I'm
God,
afraid
stay
of
over
you,
there.
like I am afraid of the deep sea.
Exactly.
Me
I feel like
too.
the next the idle banter that this winds up in, like there'll be some like, horse lovers like hearing us all like trash horses.
Actually,
That's fine.
It's very
Yeah.
funny because Nico is a horse lover. I am not.
Let's
Yeah.
put that horse girl hate for engagement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and if anyone hasn't caught up, the funny little pink man is Aeria.
Yeah,
That's
that's
our
our
artist.
campaign artist.
That's our artist Soci.
his name is Pinky.
Are we ready?
Careful,
to,
you name someone, you gotta take responsibility for him.
I really should have expected a public domain joke in this campaign.
Wild.
I hate
Absolutely
this.
wild.
So much. It's great. I love it.
Fantastic.
I was expecting sort of like that, you know, that horror game where like the train has like the body of a spider.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Spider Train, my favorite. Game.
Yeah. I was not expecting this.
I wasn't expecting this either.
Oh. Beck
I-
wasn't expecting this, but this is making Beck very happy. This is the best day that he has had in years.
I once again need to shout our amazing artist for this campaign, Aeria Quies. He has been knocking it out of the park.
Resident
with
puddle
these.
of pink goop.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the one.
Uh-huh.
And I
It's
think
incredible.
we're gonna start putting these backgrounds up on the Patreon.
Yeah,
Get the
these
HD
are amazing.
downloads of these.
Yep, hop on the Patreon for all the art uploads. We keep updating the old ones too, as they come out.
So I think
Jesus Christ.
I was just gonna say too that with Beck having the best time in a long time, so is Conrad actually, because the difference with Conrad is that he's not a sociopath. He wouldn't want to derail a train and hurt innocent people, but he was so willing to do this because it's such a weird nightmare land, and it's like at any cost to get ourselves out of here alive, that he was like proud of himself for like, you know, being able to calculate the speed of the train and everything. So he's just like, yeah, hell yeah.
This
Conrad's
I-
finally learning how to cut loose and have a good time.
This is an
Yeah.
arc.
Well, that's
it feels like Jesse and Walter switched.
the fun thing about this is like, you know, I think we identified pretty quickly at the start that like, ooh, there's like a really fun setup here of like Conrad, the science nerd, stealing the kill of the legendary outlaw, and then, you know, slowly as more things come together, it's like maybe they are actually more of a pair than it seemed like at first. And like Beck is an angry, ruthless, kind of off the cuff man. Maybe he could use a little science in his life and become a little bit more learned and wise. And Conrad, on the other hand, maybe Conrad needs to let into that little dark impulse every once in a while. Maybe it's okay to take control of your destiny and be a little selfish.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And it's just,
They're gonna
It's been
bond
so
over the
much
corpse
fun.
of Steam Train Billy.
We got a new
Oh,
Lord
is
of
it?
Science.
His name is Boy Howdy.
yeah. Oh, Beck is so excited.
Boy,
to ride
howdy,
the
do I
train.
hate this thing.
It's very
This thing-
hard to listen to you be like, oh, let's compare and contrast these archetypes and how they can be foils to one another and boil and balance each other out when I'm looking at this Mickey Mouse.
Let's get him out of here.
Jesus, like, oh my god.
I love how you said I wasn't
Quick.
prepared for this, and you got the fucking Mickey train over here.
Oh,
You gotta
Yeah,
bring
terrify
back
everyone.
Wolfram for therapeutic reasons.
We need more Wolfram in our life. Wolfram fan art, please. I'm begging.
It's so
got
good
so
already.
much of it.
There's
He's so popular.
There's so much good Wolfram art.
More. I crave it.
In this moment, I was really expecting the train, like just like George said, to be like a gigantic spider with 1,000 mouths, or you know, like something
I thought it
weird
was
like
gonna be
that.
really
Like a big old
scary.
centipede.
Yeah,
I thought it was
yeah,
gonna be
exactly.
really scary. and
a gigantic, Mukade or something. So even though it has the face of like a flayed Mickey Mouse, I think Beck saw this and saw it was just a train and just instantly became a schoolboy. Like, was so excited. Like, oh, I get to rob a train again. Like, yes, this is what I'm good at. Like, it's
this
like
is the wooification of Beck.
Yeah, this is, between
he just likes trains. You don't know this about him. He likes trains.
I love twains.
I mean, Beck's home, jokes aside, Beck grew up on trains. Part of his backstory, he ran away when he was 12. He hopped a train when he was 12, and that was his life until he was like 18 or 19. So,
he's feeling young again.
So yeah, Beck loves trains. He's a train robber by trade. If he could just rob trains for a living forever, he probably would.
I think next session has to open on Nicodemus and his hives.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get that sweet
we need
lore.
more Nicodemus.
Beehives, to be very clear, hopefully.
Yes, not his breaking out from nerves.
This could be fun.
I'm wondering if there's like, all hives have their queen bees. So if
don't give us some freaky bees.
If they're subjected,
we have all week. We have all week for Aeria,
right?
We sure do.
Caw with his devious laugh.
He's like,
it's probably fine, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's time for the Nicodemus episode.
Oh, beehive.
But also, I've watched a decade of Golden Age television, and I know that when this moment,
I recognize that cackle from anywhere.
I just know that when the train shows up, that's when you cut to the other plot.
Yep.
Like, we'll get back to that action scene after these messages.
That train broke my brain because I was like, okay, well, if furries had Thomas the Tank Engine, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put the face
Thomas the Pain Engine.
The train, then it would look like Mickey Mouse. Right?
Furry Thomas the Tank Engine. Before the stream, we were talking about like if Beck was talking about getting Toaster was talking about getting Beck like a gas form, and I was like, what happens if you vape Beck? Like, what does that do to you? What happens to Beck? And I'm like, what happens if you drink the Wanderer?
Ooh. Does that help with your liminality test?
Probably not good for you to drink ferrofluid. I mean, I think it goes without saying.
Was it ferrofluid? It was a person.
Yeah, it's metallic. It's a black metallic.
It's feral fluid.
Oh.
Actually, I'm gonna walk that one back.
This isn't anything I came up with. This is something I think Caw came up with in this campaign. But like, if y'all remember from Cape Escape, the inside of the viewers was also black ferrofluid that you could track things with. In fact, Sandals still has his homemade compass with that fluid in it too. So there does seem to be a bit of a connection there between those things.
Oh, I was going to say too, earlier. So germ theory does exist, but it's also incredibly plausible that Conrad knows what germs are, but no one else does. Literally like 10 years, within 10 years before this campaign taking place would be like when viruses are starting to be discovered, and the miasma theory would be like on its way out. So all of y'all probably still believe in miasma, but Conrad's like, no, germs. So.
All right, I got some earthy dice now.
Nice.
They're still looking for someone to balance their humors.
Mm-hmm.
They got too much black.
Could I offer you a leech in these trying times?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the end of this campaign being we all huddle inside of a saloon, and then it slowly dawns on all of us that we've caught consumption, and now we're gonna go out from TB.
Fuck, we're already out west. Where do we go?
Exactly.
I felt my whole soul leave my body when Aeria dissolved.
Yep.
I'm sure he did too.
He's just gone.
I think it's very fun that
just
this episode we had a lot of really good
in the water.
That's a good description. This episode we had a lot of really good character moments. You know, Chance had his moment to basically dominate the chupacabras, which was sick and like really changed the course of that battle, I think.
Yeah.
I was just expecting some exploding cards, but that was way cooler.
No, that was
way cooler. Yeah.
That was huge.
That's also
planning...
like less. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I was planning on, before you did that, I was planning on trying to ask Gurgle. After I took the shot, my next move was gonna be asking Gurgle to try to distract Rick Ryder. My trick to convince him was gonna be like, you see how big that guy is? He wants toes. He's gonna eat all the toes, and you're not gonna get any. But as soon as you brought the other chupacabras out, I'm like, we've already got distraction. Like, we're good. And so that was a great move.
So I just want to point out real quick that Gurgle has rolled an ace and exploded every single die
he's a freak.
he has rolled.
He's kicking ass.
Yeah.
Everything I've asked him to do, he's just fucking nailed it.
Can you give Gurgle a point of conviction?
Yeah, can he get an edge this time? Like, can we level him up a little bit?
I can't believe the most powerful character in the party got an overpowered pet.
I think one of the cool things about this episode is we got a lot of individual character moments. Like, there was obviously Chance with his dealing with the devil, but that also led to both Nicodemus and Beck understanding kind of what happened there, which was cool. Got to call him out for that a little bit. We had the moments with the horse, which were interesting, like seeing this person that truly was on the edge of death, finally going into town and being like made into
horse, not the other.
Was Pink? Oh wait, you said horse, not whores. Like
not
plural whores. Okay, my bad.
I was still thinking about long horse.
Oh yeah,
Kyle
long
knocked
horse.
it out
Beck,
of the park
Beck got to
with
sell.
Bucky.
Oh, that was fun.
That was
the Bucky
wild.
thing was good.
That was wild because literally the day before our first session, I was like anxious and I was like, I need to plan more Argo or something. I need more ideas, and so I just started we just started spitballed, and we realized like, okay, Argo used to work with Bucky on his con, and that he was the person that would like sell this stuff. But then when he went legit, he had to switch to Rick, and Rick was way worse at this. And then the world
that was really good.
Got turned upside down, and
I
then
absolutely loved the fucking like switch of pace.
Yeah, like by the end, it was just this sad thing where like fucking Rick and Argo having to sell like Power Rangers level nonsense because the world's evil and full of monsters, and how the fuck do you do this versus just having to like pretends to defeat a ruffian over and over again and whatnot. And like fucking like there's a little bit of betrayal. It's like Bucky left Argo behind for this other thing, and because Ka always surprises me, I was like, okay, I'm trying to talk to Bucky here because the last chance to interact with him probably, and even acknowledge this story element that we set up, but we like discussed weeks and weeks ago. He goes full flashback, and I'm like, okay, oh, it's happening. Okay, we're gonna try to show Argo's performance here, I guess, and justify on camera what the fuck his deal ever even was, because we kind of started after it was over. And it's doing double deal. It's like super efficient storytelling where it's also like, oh no, this is about Stilton and Bucky. That chapter accomplished so much so quickly. I was really surprised.
And it also gave you a method to communicate, since he had those hand signals worked out.
Yeah, you thought of that. I don't know how the fuck you do this.
That's
Fantastic.
fun.
And now almost everybody's in some kind of deal or promise or oath.
This is a campaign of many deals. Should I give Gurgle attractive?
Make that boy handsome.
He just gets +1 to persuasion rolls or something.
Yeah, but now
He needs to get a new, you have to invest in a new sprite if you do that.
one of us is going to roll notice too high, get a crit, and then we're gonna turn towards Gurgle, and he's gonna look like handsome Squidward. Like it's not gonna be okay.
Gurgle finally takes his glasses off, and we notice how truly beautiful he's been this entire time.
He's gonna turn into fucking Gumby.
Oh my god.
He finally digested all the toes and his hair grew back.
I mean, what do you think? What aspect of Gurgle do you think he'd want to improve in himself?
Yeah, Gurgle's perfect. You're right.
If he if he
beautiful as is. What are you talking about, Ka?
How do you improve on perfection?
Yeah, I feel like if he felt like he wanted to be more handsome, then that's what he would do. Incredible.
I'm afraid.
I hate that little thing. I hate it.
I was thinking I got really lucky. It was a really fortuitous moment, like when Toaster, when Beck asked me like what's the emotion I felt, I just completely winged that, because I had like no idea, and I was like, I don't know, like, I was thinking like the hair standing up on the back of my neck kind of situation. I was like, oh, I guess it was the feeling of being watched. But then when you were pitching like how to tap into that emotion to dream walk, I was like, wait, shit, okay, this actually works with my character. Like, that was not planned at all. So
that was so cool. That was really such lucky. A good moment.
I also love I love the fact that like Toaster was like, oh god, are we all gonna get Pokemon? And then he picked up a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Who subsequently turned into a pile of goo, but that's beside the point.
I had plans for him.
Well,
I had plans for him, and then he evaporated, which is unfortunate because I wanted to. I wanted to do some train shenanigans with him, but it wasn't gonna happen. So
that boy is soup.
Yep. We had a lot of really good. We had a lot of really good stuff this round, and a lot of character progression. I was really happy with like getting a chance to. One, we drew a connection now between Beck and Chance because they're both kind of owned now by Madoska, which is. Y'all, Beck and Chance have made deals with a fucking Fey witch. Like, this is not okay. This is the number one thing that you should not do.
No, it's great.
Ever.
It's totally fine. I don't see a problem with this.
Chance is wielding that Madoska Magica.
And Nicodemus kind of showed up. Nicodemus has been very interesting as a foil for Beck and as sort of this like character that represents a lot of the same things but also the opposite of those things, like simultaneously. There's like an interesting contradiction there that I think gives them kinship and like mutual respect, if not mutual respect from Beck towards Nicodemus as like a person who lives off the land and like understands the unseen rules of the world. So it was like really fun to have that moment when they all split up. And I mean, again, just the Conrad and Beck dynamic is like so much fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I like
the idea of these two like, shitty people who should be at each other's throats, like laughing and smoking cigars together as they talk about how they're gonna blow up a train is like, it's so good. It's such good imagery. I love it so much. The fucking Gurgle smoking a cigar too is just like, I need fan art of that.
There's something of an irony in the situation for Conrad too, because again, without just completely saying what happened to him, part of what's been haunting him involves a fear of the loss of freedom. And being indebted to Beck should be just like a complete freak-out zone. But the way he was brought back to life, essentially by Nicodemus, he really feels like he's a dead man walking. So in a weird way, even though he's indebted to this other person, he, like when you were saying like, oh, you don't like have a choice, you're staying with me, and it's just like, I was gonna follow you anyways, like whatever. Like, so Conrad's just kind of like letting go. I actually had Ka before this session. That secret was a major hindrance, and I downgraded it to a minor hindrance because of how Conrad is settling into this new situation. So there's like some mechanical
fuel.
Exactly. So yeah, there's some mechanical changes to the character that are kind of matching with the lore. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. I think that there's like when someone pushes you, like, or how do I explain this? Like, bad influences are really fun characters because, and I think everyone can kind of relate to this. Like, you have a friend that like makes you party a little too hard, or like someone who is a bad influence on you.
Me.
It's not like you see them and you're like, oh, they're a bad influence on me, but I'm gonna make the decision like I'm doing this because they're a bad influence. Haha. Like, being bad feels good. Like it's something that like people like to do, and that's why being a good influence is like, and having good influences is important, because it's very easy to make bad decisions and become a selfish person. But at the same time, like, Beck to Conrad in a really interesting and thematic way is an open door. Like, Beck exists to be the opposite of everything Conrad has ever stood for in his entire life.
Yep.
And in a weird way, that can be freeing. Yeah. Because Beck can just be like, kid, you're not in Kansas anymore. And then, like, what's Conrad's moral imperative now? the way that he thinks isn't the way it is anymore. And that's dangerous and freeing and exciting, I think, all at once from like a character writing perspective.
So what's interesting to me about Beck in particular is I think Beck sees himself as like a plunderer and an outsider who's here to come for the taking. And I think Nicodemus, he kind of has more of an ecological perspective of Beck, like seeing him as like sort of a keystone species, right? Like he's there, he's like a wolf in Yellowstone, he's ravaging the deer, but what he's doing is sort of something that you can't just stomp out of existence or the whole system collapses.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's part of it too, is like, you know, when I designed this character as part of this campaign of like pitching a character that would be higher level than everyone else, pitching a character that would know the setting more than everyone else, and being this character that could guide the party, it was done very intentionally with the goal of like, Beck is a character that you follow, that you like listen to, but don't necessarily want to follow. Like that problem of like, Beck can be the expert and can know things without being right about the things that he knows or about the things that he's doing. And like me and Ka fully understood and even planned for the idea that like at some point the party could just turn on Beck and try to kill him. Like, and I've been playing pretty heavily into that because Beck keeps getting wounded. I didn't sit on the long horse. Like I'm trying to beleaguer this man to the point that like these things are possible. And it's leading into this interesting character arc because, you know, Beck is like an apex predator in a lot of ways. And it's great to have an apex predator in the party because you guys are infinitely weirdly more safe around me if danger comes. But then at the same time, like he is kind of like at the end of his rope, right? Like this is potentially the end of this journey that he's been on for 20 years now almost. And like, what is to come of this? Is that Beck killing bullet going to go in that Beck killing gun, you know?
Into Beck killing Beck.
Yeah, totally. So it's like, it's interesting. I don't know. I think there's a lot to play with there. And it's the best part about playing Beck is like seeing these narrative threads and being able to very skillfully and like intentionally choose them and be like, all right, I want to be a bad influence to Conrad and see like what that does for him. Because it also opens up the storytelling possibilities of like, who is the Conrad post Beck? You know, like who does Conrad become after doing a lot of these things and getting out? And like, what if Beck isn't around? What if he no longer owes this life debt? What if Conrad settles up, kills Beck, and then Conrad lives with that? Like, what's his character after that? That's interesting. And like, does Beck's perspective and his understanding of the world that he's imparting to characters like Nicodemus and Chance, does that affect them at all? Even if everyone at the end agrees that Beck is a terrible man who deserved to die, and let it be known, I think Beck probably deserves to die for a lot of his crimes. He is a very bad man. The question is like, does he still have an impact on everyone in like a meaningful and valuable way to them? And I think that's like the space that I'm having the most fun playing in.
I also think Nicodemus doesn't really see that Beck needs to die because I think from his perspective, that's almost like the easy way out.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, like, just it would be incredibly difficult to navigate this scenario without someone a little bit versed in what's going on. So
yeah,
there's that
for sure.
I think what's also dangerous for Beck right now is that his narrative importance after teaching us to dreamwalk has diminished.
Yes.
You know what happens to the old man at the beginning of the hero's journey?
No, I'm fully waiting for a, you shall not pass moment where he exits and then comes back the white, 7 sessions down the line.
Beck is the overpowered Fire Emblem character you get in Chapter 1 that you try to starve of experience because they're going to be leaving. Toaster plays Erebus.
the vent. I would love to play. If I got to play Erebus as a character, y'all would not be ready for the unhinged feral tiger energy I would bring to this.
Oh wait, does Erebus have like a hot like
No,
anthroform?
Erebus. I'm just gonna. Fan artists can definitely draw Erebus X Oscar Fortnite art if they want to. I mean, it's fine by me. But I mean,
Me
without
not
getting
being
into
an
too many
artist.
spoilers, Erebus isn't even a tiger. He's an unknowable cosmic Lovecraftian entity that exists in the form of primordial shadow.
That's hot. Like what?
So that's cool. He just happens to manifest as a tiger for reasons. One of the great beasts, the four beasts of legend. But yeah, it's just it was cool imagery that I thought was cool. And if I got to play Erebus, I mean, that's just letting me play Cthulhu basically. And I mean, like, sure, I'll take it. Why not? You guys want that in your party next time? We'll go.
I'm excited to get into Bees lore next week.
I'm also really excited about Bees lore.
Excited in a way that is terrified.
Yeah.
I'm doing so much research on royal jelly.
There's a it's actually fun that you
Like
brought
you
up the
saw
bees.
long horse. We were expecting normal horses. We're gonna get wide
bees-
bee.
Oh no, wide bee.
No. You know, I didn't say that.
Let me write
Wide
down my
bee.
notes. Wide
Big fat chunky bee.
It's just
I like the
chat
bee
for wide
lore
just a bunch
lot.
of bees with Kylo Ren chest.
No.
The the big black pants.
Beck is so fascinated with chaos. And I think he's kind of got this idea that, like, you know, chaos is the natural way of things. Everything's entropy, right? But then we have things like, you know, beavers building dams, and then you have things like bees, which are almost eldritch in their structures. There's this beautiful, divine,
Bees are kind of freaks.
terrifying things that they give life. Like the reason why I thought bees would be a good match for someone like Nicodemus is because usually a lot of Western colonies, what they would do is they would, you know, apiaries would be one of the first things that they have because it's a steady supply of sugar and nutrients and all sorts of different uses. And the bees are sort of self-sustaining. And also they help you garden as well. Like they are like almost like a font of civilization. And the fact that it comes from just these silly little animals that are just doing their own thing, like I think that's really interesting to me. Like that even if humans wouldn't exist, there'd still be bees or animal people, not whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, bees are a perfect choice.
Argo isn't an outlaw, but claims to be a lawman or whatever, or is an outlaw but claims to be a lawman, and Beck is the opposite of, like, I'm literally what you claim to defend people from. Like, there's that, like, interesting back and forth there of characters saying one thing but being another, and then being immediately juxtaposed with people that are the thing they say they are, which is really cool and really interesting.
He's also supposed to be a fraud and specifically not a hero. And the inherent thing about conning people and lying to people and so on is that it's inherently this level of detachment where you have to not respect people. Like, it's not that he's evil or vicious or actually wants anyone dead or hurt. Like, he's not taking in the same way that Beck does. He more like found a trick to exploit that isn't good for people, but he's not actively like doing horrible things. But you have to just very much not value people and keep them at arm's length and kind of treat them as resources in order to act like that, which is how he treated multiple characters, and that's being challenged by almost everyone being gone now. And also, apparently Quies just decided to put a gauntlet of all the characters that did say were close to him just in a line and just cut half of each one off and see how Argo deals with that each time.
And I think that also plays into Argo's concern for who's going to protect the town. He doesn't trust in their autonomy to do things for themselves.
No, he thinks they're all idiots.
What? Stilton's got this.
He very specifically would have only like he very specifically would have liked Bucky to have never left the town, but then he got shot and when in which he missed, and then comes and sees this revenant and he's like, oh fuck. That means because it's like who's even back there? There's a kid, there's some hack journalist, there's a bartender, and a whore, and Stilton's the least capable of all of them. What the fuck are they gonna do?
Also, like, just the fact that we were able to resolve combat without a ton of combat was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The least interesting thing that can happen in combat in role-playing games is combat.
Everyone take a turn, shoot gun. Well, thank you all for showing up tonight. This was an amazing session. I am really looking forward to next week.
As always, thank you so much for putting everything together. This was so much fun.
Yeah, this was great.
Yes. Thank you.
I never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for very normal bees. Nothing wrong with these bees.
Typing up my notes for Aeria. Extremely normal bees.